When I was a kid, my parents conditioned me through fear. That's how they instilled obedience in me, because they didn't have patience to parent. They just needed orders to be followed. And fear of violence was first. And then, after a certain age, uh, came fear of abandonment. And the way they instilled fear of abandonment was by one night I was late. I had a curfew. I came home after curfew, maybe 6 p.m. I came home, 6:15, something like that. And I found the door locked. And they threatened me before that they will lock me out. Uh, and they let me scream essentially until I became desperate, and I got really scared, and I didn't know what was happening. I was very young, 5, 6, 7, somewhere there. Um, and another time, they left me in the middle of nowhere. They got me out of the car, and because I wasn't behaving, and they left me in the middle of nowhere, and they drove into the distance. They came back, but I didn't know they will come back because everything was covered in a narrative, in yelling and shouting and all sorts of promises for horrible outcomes. I was just sobbing in all this time, and I was too scared to do anything because this was the point, to instill fear. And because the end outcome was for me to respond to the threat alone without having to be exposed to the actual stimulus, to paralyze in terror when I would only hear, uh, I'll kick you out of the house, for example, or you'll end up in the streets, or things like that. And they were very efficient in creating the conditioning, and I would respond to stimuli like a scared animal, to discriminative stimuli, just to shouting, to a whisper, to an innuendo, to being discarded, thrown out, abandoned, left somewhere. They did that a few times too. I think they were watching me. Once I know for a fact they were watching me from somewhere, from a distance, just watching me get more scared and scared, becoming more and more frightened. And they left me, just bathed in that tension. My fear response all through the roof, my immune system acting out. All those events, I'm sure, are written in epigenetic changes on my genes. Throughout my life, now when I look back, I see how that fear of abandonment played into my relationships. Not well, not well at all. I would react like a scared animal instantaneously when I would hear some allusion to that, some allusion, some innuendo, some allusion. Doesn't really seem right. It's something in the ballpark, something similar to that would immediately put me back in that context, and I would immediately elicit fear of being discarded. I've made many bad decisions in that state of mind. But this is how conditionings from childhood become the problems of adulthood. Where they're coming from and how they ended up there. The silver lining is they are fixable. All these conditionings are fixable. And when you start seeing them, they become addressable. Next time I will tell you about how my parents used this discriminative stimuli that would create a panic response, that would trigger a fear response, terror response, how they used it to ruin my social environment as a child and my social perception. That's for next time.